Alright guys, welcome back to the Dark Souls 2 walkthrough, Indiana Jones style. Now, we are going to go kill the Executioner's Chariot twice. Now this is an optional boss, which is located in the Undead Purgatory, and you get to the Undead Purgatory through Huntsman's Copse. Now, as you're running to the boss, you might have a chance to get some items. The rogues that follow you, the assassin rogues, have a chance to drop their rogue armor, which is another outfit which is suitable for Indy. And of course we need the prisoner tatters. This is great for item discovery, so you want to kill the zombies too. But if you're going to do some heavy farming, make sure you go into the Company of Champions Covenant. Now we're going to get some dual whip action here, as we're using the notched whip plus 10 and the old whip plus 5. Now we're going to use this against the skeletons in the Undead Purgatory during the boss fight. Now right up here, you want to snipe this torturer on the right side and get him to come to you. There's also a zombie over there, but you don't want to go over there and have to fight both of them at the same time. Just let him come to you. You can snipe him before he even gets to you. And of course there's a zombie, just whip him. And if you want another notched whip, which you probably will, because dual wielding notched whips is a very good way to inflict bleed. And later on, when we get the blood crest ring, we can even increase bleed even more. Now, just snipe him as before. But then, let's go ahead and get prepared for a skeleton that's going to approach us right here. He's going to rise up. Don't let him surprise you. He won't get up. There's no necromancers around. And the notched whip is right here. I recommend leveling both whips to plus 10. Now this area is very sensitive with its aggro range. So what we're going to do is we're going to get Avalon out and we're going to stick to the back wall. We're not going to go too far up. Stick to the back wall and snipe the first guy on the right here. These guys are kind of hidden in the dark and you can't really see them. But you can kill the first one before he even gets to you. And then we're going to aim and shoot the next guy on the far left. Again, just stick to the wall. There's no sense in aggroing all these guys at once. Now once the second one's dead, you want to come up just a little bit to this wall here and start aiming to the right. This guy right here is very well hidden. You want to draw him out too. Some of these guys have a chance to drop the bloodied whip. This one in particular does have the whip, but whether it's a rare drop though, and you need to have a great deal of item discovery to get one. And I usually try to farm for 2 of them. But not unless you're in the Company of Champions. Now, another one way off in the distance here. And there's another guy on the building. Once those are all dead, you'll be clear. Now, I'm showing you guys the first way on how to fight them. Then I'm going to show you how to run past them. Because when we get into New Game Plus, after we kill the boss, we're definitely not going to fight all these enemies again. I'm going to show you an effective strategy for running past all of them without getting killed. The bloodied whip has a great chance to cause better poise damage than the other whips. That's what they do better than the other whips. The spiked whip obviously does bleed. The bloodied whip does... It's weird because it's called the bloodied whip. You'd think it does bleed, but no, it does better poise damage. And the old whip just does pure physical damage, and it's better than any other whip. And the spotted whip does poison damage, which we will get that one later. This is the Undead Purgatory, and this is your Phantom. We're not going to fight him. There's no sense in it, unless you just want to. Now this little ledge over here, we're going to go to that when we get to run past the enemies. We're going to have to jump to that ledge to get the enemies to come off of us and commit suicide. Now we want to run to this corner right here and just draw him out away from the fog wall and dodge him. And then just run to the fog wall, and we won't have to deal with him. Now, the Executioner's Chariot is an interesting boss because it's kind of like a puzzle, but not really. There are necromancers in the area and plenty of skeletons. You want to run. Just run. Don't even fight the skeletons initially. You can stab that one off into the middle, so where he's ran over. But make sure you kill the first necromancer right there, and then get your whips out and dual wield them to do the left bumper attack. As you can see, it's a 1-2 punch, and they'll die. Now, we're going to get used to dodging the chariot instead of going into these holes, because later on, when you try to go into the holes, the skeletons do great damage, and you don't want to be caught in the hole with all the skeletons just attacking you. Remember, we don't have the luxury of a shield, so we can't just, you know, shield up. I really like this pincher attack. Now the skeletons are going to reassemble themselves because we haven't killed the second necromancer, and see right here, you want to make sure you dodge. If you dodge right where the shadow of that spiked trap is on the wheel, then you won't get hit most of the time. And once that necromancer's dead, then you're pretty much home free. You're just waiting to make sure that archer skeleton's dead, and there he is. Well, no, there's an archer skeleton that's always lingering behind. Sometimes he'll get me, sometimes he won't. Make sure you pull this lever, and then get the Chaos Blade out, and you're going to run and stab, and then follow up with as many hits as you can. You can see right here, I damn near killed the boss immediately, and it only took another extra hit. The horse could never even get to its feet. But that was the easy part. The hard part is the second round where it's in New Game Plus. They do a lot more damage. Of course, you're going to have to give them more damage too. It's a lot harder. You'll get one-shotted if you get hit by the chariot at all. So you really need to get comfortable dodging the chariot. So like I said, dodge where the shadow, just before the shadow is, and you shouldn't get hit. Now this guy, we'll talk to him later. He will allow us to enter the Blood Covenant, which we will get the Blood Crest Ring, and allow us to do bleed damage more efficiently. But we want to burn the bonfire aesthetic here, and then go back to the bridge approach bonfire. Now, our reward for beating the Executioner's Chariot on New Game Plus is the Chloranthy Ring +2. The best stamina ring in the game, and definitely an important ring to have no matter what build you're going for. Now, as I said before, we're not going to fight any enemies this time. We're just going to run past all of them. So we're just going to ignore all the enemies. It's pretty straightforward at first. Sometimes the sickle guy will engage you and sometimes he won't. It just depends on where he is on his path. But we're just going to avoid everything we can. You'll have a bunch of enemies following you, but there's a way to get rid of them later. There's no reason to get the Notch Whip ×3 now. We wouldn't need 3 whips unless you're just trying to infuse them or whatever. But here we're just going to jump off. You're going to time it to where as soon as he rears up for his attack, you just dodge him. Just dodge roll through him. Now here, it's interesting because there are some zombies that are hanging off the ledge there. You can see, hanging off the bridge. And they will rise up and surprise you if you just ignore them. But we want to make a jump right here. It's kind of a tricky jump to make. And then we're just going to wait for them to commit suicide. As you see some of them falling off already. That one just fell off. Now this one right here is being stubborn. And if you do have a stubborn one, you're going to have to get Avalon out and snipe him. Because if you try to go into the corner and draw that guy again, this guy is not going to let it happen. And he's killed me before, so I'm not trusting it. We're just going to snipe him with Avalon here. And make sure to de-equip Avalon though, because you'll be doing fat rolls with all this equipment. Because the Chaos Blade is pretty heavy. And then Avalon is heavy too, so try not to have them both equipped at the same time. Now we want our same equipment as before, the Notch Whip and the Old Whip and the Chaos Blade. Another tricky jump here, you can actually, I've fallen to my death many times here, and the same principle applies. We're just going to draw the guy out. But be wary of those zombies. They will be on their way. If you waste too much time, I don't know how I didn't get hit there. You waste too much time, they will come up here. Now, the same thing again. We're just going to run as fast as we can to the first necromancer. We're going to stab the first guy. Get him. If you can get the skeleton in the middle of the road, it's where you want him to be, because then he'll die from the... Now, I don't know how this necromancer survived. I'm almost certain that I killed him, but somehow he survived. So make sure the necromancer is definitely dead before moving on here. And so the skeletons are going to reassemble themselves. But we're going to go ahead and make a run for it here. And we're just going to jog. We're not going to run. We're just waiting for the chariot. We want the chariot to come. And as you can see on the right side, it's lifted up. The trap was lifted up, so we didn't even have to dodge that way. But next time we'll definitely have to dodge the way we did before. Now, I like to walk to the left and draw the skeletons. Just make sure they're in the line of fire, and then kill the necromancer. Make sure he's dead. Then get your whip out again, and it's the same thing as before. 1-2 punch with the left bumper. With the dual wield stance. And then it's just getting ready for... Well, I'm just making sure that Archer is not there. I swear he's killed me so many times. Now, get the Chaos Blade out. It's going to take more hits this time because he's on New Game Plus. We're not going to kill him outright. Again, you can trigger him to do his... Just like we did with the Org. Of course, he'll do that front charge right there. But if you get next to his hind legs, he'll try that mule kick, backwards mule kick type thing right here. And that's just another thing you can do to exploit the boss. And they'll try to stomp on you right there. But he's pretty much done for. Just don't go far away from him, because then he'll shoot his black magic at you and do a charge move. But he's done for here. And that's pretty much it. With the Chaos Blade, this boss goes down pretty quickly. And we'll have the Chloranthy Ring +2. Now we are going to keep the Executioner's Chariot souls because we want to craft the crossbow, even though we're not really going to use it, but it's still a crossbow, like I said. Any unique crossbows or whips, we are going to keep them. Now we are going to enter the Blood Covenant and get the Blood Crest Ring from this peculiar NPC. He will ask you to join his covenant not once, not twice, not 3 times. He asks you 4 freaking times, do you want to join my covenant? So it's kind of, it makes you want to just slice him up with the Chaos Blade, for it's just very annoying. So just bear with him. He'll ask you 4 times. There's the first one. And the second. And the third. And then the final 4th. Like, seriously. But it's worth it because we get the Blood Crest Ring, which will give us increased bleed damage. Now, we don't have a bleed weapon except for our notched whips. However, we can turn the Chaos Blade into a bleed weapon temporarily with a bleeding serum. And that's going to be good because if we wear the engraved gauntlets, we still have a chance for a critical hit. And we have a chance for bleed damage. So we have 2 chances to inflict major damage on bosses. And that's pretty cool. So we're getting the best of both worlds with the bleeding serum and the engraved gauntlets. And we'll put that on full display against the next boss, Mitha, the Medusa-like enemy that's at the top of Earthen Peak. And she will give us the Covetous Ring +2 in New Game Plus, and that's what we're going for next. Now we're still focusing on endurance over health. We will get to our health eventually, but we want to get endurance to 40, and we want to get adaptability to 38. And then we'll focus on vigor. Again, as a good practice, always stock up on bolts or life gems, whichever you're low on. Now we have the Chloranthy Ring +2, raises stamina greatly, and we're definitely going to use it now. We're going to put it in our slot, and we really don't need the fists coming up. So anytime we're not using our fists, we will de-equip the Vanquisher Seal and use something else. We're going to use the Crest of Blood coming up. We're going to try to bleed out Mitha. Now here I'm just popping some souls. I'm going to upgrade the Notched Whip as high as I can. I don't think I can get it past +7 right now because I don't have any chunks. But I'll farm for those later now. I'm not messing with the Executioner Chariot souls. We're going to keep them. Because later on we're going to craft the Shield Crossbow. Although we're not going to use it. And we're just going to upgrade the Notched Whip as high as we can. Chunks are hard to come by in this game. They're like the equivalent of Titanite slabs in the first game. Maybe not that rare, but they're hard to come by in the beginning. And it's good to have another strong whip on tap because the old whip degrades so quickly, and we want to make sure that we have another whip ready to go. So, and this one having bleed damage capabilities is even better. Plus we got the Blood Crest Ring just now, so we're going to go ahead and equip that. Because that's where we're going to go with this boss. We're going to try to bleed her to death. In addition, we're going to go buy some bleed serum from our vendor, Ladder Gilligan. And he's going to eventually move to Majula, and we'll be able to buy as much blood serum from him as we'd like. Plus he sells regular whips too. And I like to have 2 of every whip in the game so I can dual wield them or mix and match them if I'd like. And I recommend you make a backup save of your game file so that you can reload until you get another old whip. So just save at the crows and get a petrified something, just drop it at the nest over and over and get a second old whip. Now we're going to try the dual whip notch dual whips here, and you can see it just destroys these mannequins in nearly one hit. But right here, we're going to break this railing and find our friend here. He is a ladder guy. He will give you ladders for a price. He will give you the first one for 2,000, and you want to pay it because you want to get him to put your first ladder down here. You can learn the gesture. He sells regular whips, and we want the bleeding serum. We're going to get a couple of those. And right here, if you go down here, you'll get a Titanite or Twinkling Titanite, which we are still trying to get a lot of. We still want our Puzzling Stone Sword to +5, but we don't really want to farm for Twinkling Titanite because really there's no place to farm for the Twinkling Titanite until you get to Shrine of Amana. There, it's plentiful. He will give you some hints about Mitha, about how she likes to bathe in the poison, and well, he doesn't say it regenerates her health, but it does, and you would definitely need to burn the windmill if you haven't already. Make sure to whip that guy. Yeah, killing the boss in the poison is not an option for me. I know it's possible to do, but the boss is continuously healed while you continuously get damaged, so it doesn't sound like fun to me. Be careful of this dart trap again. Now, as before, we're just going to stand by the bottom of the ladder and draw out this mannequin to come down. Thin the ranks a little bit. He's coming. Now, coming up, there's a shadow assassin coming up. He will drop the shadow gauntlets. Now, the shadow gauntlets will give you more bleed damage. However, we're going to get them, but we're not going to use them that much because the engraved gauntlets have a chance for critical hit, and if we apply bleeding serum, we'll still get the bleed effect. But it is an option you have to increase. If you want to just go full bleed damage, then you can wear the blood crest ring and have the shadow gauntlets equipped. I am going to get them, but not on video. I'll just farm for them off video, but I'll show you where to get them. There's one guy in particular you want to farm, and he's coming up right after these stairs right here. He'll pounce on you right here on the right. There he is. He's very quick, and he will bleed you very quickly. Look at that bleed damage, almost completely full. And he's making me bleed. My stamina's hurt as well. But there's a bonfire nearby, a secret bonfire, where you can continuously farm this guy. It doesn't take long to get to him. And he'll drop his set as well, his armor set, and his weapon. But the gauntlets are what you really want. Now make sure you get this hidden bonfire right here, this illusionary wall. Now, don't farm for the shadow gauntlets unless you're in the company of champions, because you can run the place dry, like I said. But right here, we want to make sure we have our bleeding serum ready to go. We are going to buff the blade before we even get to the boss. We want it to have, we don't have time to buff it right off the bat because we want to inflict major damage on the boss before she's got a chance to even do anything. So she always opens with a magic attack, so we can jump in there and poke her and get like a 3-hit combo before she's even done anything. So you can usually run past these guys, just get them to attack once or twice, and they can't get to you. Just run to the left and then poke her and combo her as fast as you can, and you'll just cause massive damage. And now be careful, she will try to grab you if you're in the middle, and if she grabs you, it's pretty much a one-hit kill. She squeezes you to death, and then she'll also hit you with her trident looking thing, spear. But that, we just got a critical hit there, I believe, because that took off an insane amount of damage. And that's it for round 1. Now we're just going to bonfire aesthetic in the bonfire that was hidden, the one we just came from. And our reward will be the covetous silver ring +2, which is the best ring for getting additional souls. And when you combine that with the jester gloves, which we're going to get very soon, you'll be able to get even more souls And even later on, if you get the Mimic hat, you can get even more souls. So you can have a chance to get an incredible amount of souls by adding up these items. But the Jester suit is indefinite must buy, even if you're not trying to dress up as the Jester, because each part of his suit does something unique. And the cap will increase item discovery, and that's something you definitely want to wear if you're farming. Again, we're going to buff our blade and just drop down and get to the fog wall as fast as we can. If you just bait them into an attack, you can quickly get to the bond or to the fog wall. And then it's just a repeat of what we just did. Stab and the combo, but just don't get too greedy. Now don't let her sit in the poison for too long, because she will heal, although gradually. The only damage we're going to take from this boss is from the Chaos Blade itself, so I don't know how I didn't get hit there, though. Be careful of that stab move. If you have low adaptability, it's probably not going to be too easy to dodge her attacks without taking damage. But we're causing enough damage with the Chaos Blade to shorten this fight significantly, and she's dead. Covetous Silver Ring +2. All that's left is the Gold Ring +2, and oh boy. The Covetous Gold Ring, man. We got to kill the Gargoyles for that one, and it's not fun. Not fun at all. Have fun taking on 6 Gargoyles at the same time on occasion, if you take too long. But here we're going to the Iron Keep. This is a lava land that exists in the sky out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what the developers were thinking here. I think the elevator was supposed to go down, not up. That would have made a hell of a lot more sense. Going up into the sky where this place exists, it couldn't possibly exist. I know this has been talked about a million times, but this is terrible level design. I mean, really, a lava land in the middle of the, well, in thin air, basically. Right off the bat, you want to stick to the left and get this bonfire. And you'll meet your first new enemy, the Alone Knights, but they will go down very easily with one stab from the Chaos Blade, so that's how we're going to engage these guys with the Chaos Blade. And we'll be invaded shortly after that, and then we can get to our merchant, well, after we kill a few more knights. So just run straight through here and stab the Alone Knight that comes at you. He's very quick, and they will cause bleed, but with your Chaos Blade, they have no chance. Now, don't open this door. Run up to it and then turn around. This is just to trigger the invasion, which will happen right here. Try to time it as soon as she materializes. You can get her. Now, she has a puzzling stone sword. She's trying to be like you. But don't underestimate her. She's got magic attacks, and she's got good... She can get you pretty quick. But we have the Chaos Blade, which we just did a critical hit on her, so she's damn near dead already. And now she is. Now, once the invader is dead, we'll open the door, and we're going to trigger some enemies to come to us. So we're just going to walk forward towards this pillar and stop. The first knight will come and drop down. And there's another archer guy that's in that hole right there. He'll drop down, but he won't come initially. There's another enemy to the right that's going to come attack, and right there, and I didn't see him right away. But remember, there's going to be one coming from that hallway. And they have a chance to drop their katanas, which I got one there. And we're just going to take this guy out, and now we're clear to go to the vendor. But always watch your 6. I don't trust Dark Souls in any capacity, so they'll attack you even if you're at the vendor, so they don't care. So just make sure there's no more coming, and then talk to the vendor here. Now you want to spend a good amount of souls. Just buy what I do here. Definitely buy the Jester suit, because it's a very helpful piece of armor. Every piece of this armor does something unique. And you want to buy his human effigy he's got. He's only got one. Buy another repair powder and buy the fragrant branch of yore, and that will be enough to get the gold covetous ring he'll give you if you talk to him. +1. It's not as good as what the Gargoyles can give us, but for now it will do. Now we're going to go prepare to kill the gargoyles twice. This is probably one of the most difficult fights in the entire game, at least the ones I've fought. There really is no two ways about it. I mean, you're overwhelmed with enemies, so using a summon here is definitely recommended. And there is a summon, but he's not going to last very long, and the time that he's alive, you may make the most out of it, because you're going to be by yourself with 6 gargoyles potentially. Once again, we're going to level up endurance as much as we can. We're getting close to the soft cap of endurance, though. Soft cap is 40. We're at 36. We're going to go to 38. We're almost there. Then we'll have to focus on adaptability and vigor. And then after that, it's just whatever you want, really. Increasing damage or health or whatever you want. Now for the gargoyles, I recommend just, for the first fight, we're going to do the Chaos Blade because it does good damage. But on the second fight, I have found the fists are better. But for the first round, we'll do the Chaos Blade. Now let's go meet our new vendor in Majula, Ladder Gilligan. He will, if you pay him 12,000 souls, he'll give you a ladder that goes all the way down to where we got the Dragon's Talon for the DLC. But he also sells, like I said, the Bleeding Serum and regular whips, which we do want to get the Bleeding Serum for a few bosses in the future. I haven't really tried to bleed out the gargoyles because it really, it's not, we're not going to get enough hits on them in a row to cause bleed. But that's why I've decided to go with the fists for the second round. The first round is whatever. The first round is not hard because they don't do near as much damage, and it's a lot easier to take them out, especially with a summon. But on the second round, it's a whole other ball game. They cause double damage, and they're more aggressive, it seems. The damage is what does it. They cause a lot more damage, and you're going to have to inflict more damage on them on New Game Plus. So now, when we were here before, we unlocked this area, but we didn't go to it. It's the Belfry Luna. So this is basically a PvP area for defending the bell tower. You want to join it, you'll need to talk to that guy on the right, but we're not going to. If you kill an enemy while you're in the Covenant, you'll get a Titanite chunk, which is pretty handy if you can kill a lot of people. But there are easier ways to get Titanite chunks later. Now, using the Bright Bug is not an option here because you're going to get invaded. Now, if you use the Bright Bug prior to getting invaded, you possibly could use it, but we're going to put on the Vanquisher Seal so we can take out these dwarven enemies. They cause a lot of damage with their black imbued or whatever they got, their axes. It seems they got something going on with it. It causes a lot of damage, just to put it that way. And when there's a bunch of them, which we are going to have to kill up top, that's why we're going to get our summon here. He'll help with the boss, but he'll also help you on the top of the bell tower. And you have to go to the top initially to unlock the door here on the next floor. But I have found that this guy is the easiest way to kill the gargoyles as a distraction there. If there's a hole down there you can drop into to access a secret area. Just go to town on these guys. Don't show them any mercy. Using the double-handed slam is the best way to kill them, I have found, because they're so short. Now that gate is locked, so we have to go up here. Now you're going to get bombarded by those little dwarves at the top, and you're going to get invaded by another one that's even more powerful. So I recommend getting the stone sword out here and a good whip, just to kind of keep your distance away from these guys, because they can overwhelm you. And there's an archer one up here too, which can be sneaky. So what I like to do is just run away at first, wait till my summon comes up here. Once they've got their attention on him, then I try to use the double-handed R2 for the old whip. Causes a great amount of damage. Kind of hits more than one of them at once. But don't get greedy, as you can see. They cause a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Do not underestimate. But we can expend our durability here on the whip because we're not going to use the whip for the boss. So use it all if you have to. And it won't take long either because these guys have armor. Then we're going to switch to the Puzzling Stone Sword, which is going to be a really good weapon for armored enemies. Make sure to pull this lever, and we are off to fight the Belfry Gargoyles times 6. Like I said before, it's not too bad the first time around, but the second time it's an absolute nightmare. And you want to make sure you're prepared for sure. And our vigor is still only 10. We are still a glass cannon here. We really need to get our vigor up, but I do stress that endurance is still more important. We're going back to the Chaos Blade, and here we don't really care at the first. Like I said, it's not nearly as hard. Now I use the Avalon just in case I could have to snipe them from distance. Sometimes they'll be far away and you just want to get a little cheap shot on them. But I don't recommend it on the second round. You have to kite for a long time to kill them with the crossbow because they don't take much damage from the crossbow. So the first one on the left here is going to aggro, and then there's another one off to the right that will aggro. The main strategy that I found is try to stay right behind them and just do as much damage as you can, because it's kind of like a Four Kings fight from the first game. The longer you take, the more spawn, and up to 6 can spawn, so it's quite overwhelming at times. Because we're using the Chaos Blade, our health is going to diminish. Like I said, try to help him kill them. Tag team each one together, because the faster you guys kill them, the better. But it's going to be much harder in the second round, and I don't recommend the same strategy in the second round. In the second round, we're going to leave him alone to deal with one gargoyle while we take on another. But as you can see, this fight's almost over, and it wasn't that hard. But basic strategy, like I said, just get behind him, pound on him, and helping the Phantom. But yeah, it's not easy the second time. The second time is a whole other ball game. It really is unbelievable how much damage they do in the second round as compared to the first. Now this is the bonfire you will need to bonfire the aesthetic to get to New Game Plus for the Gargoyles. And for the love of God, make sure you're out of the Company of Champions covenant, because if you're not, and you come into this in New Game Plus, you're going to have a rude awakening, like getting one-shotted and not understanding why. And you need to make sure you're out of the Company of Champions before you do this. I have tried it. It didn't go well. So here we are. We're going to change our strategy here. Make sure we have the Vanquisher Seal this time. We're going to be using our fists exclusively, so we're going to make sure we have the engraved gauntlets as well. Because we want to get critical hits as much as we can. But the thing about this fight is, get a hit when you can, but your health is more important than getting an extra hit in. But your Phantom... Oh, I fell down. Your Phantom will give you a nice distraction, and you need to make the most of it while he's hitting on the gargoyles. I don't recommend going for the same gargoyle he's fighting, because one or two of them will congregate next to him, and you can come from behind. As long as you're not close to him, they won't aggro on you initially. You can get a few hits in, but you'll definitely need to retreat. You're not going to be able to stay there for very long. And your Phantom is not going to last forever in this fight. He is going to die, there's no doubt about it. And then you're going to be all by yourself. Look at the damage these guys do now on New Game Plus. Unbelievable. So, you want to make sure you're topped off of... Try to use life gems if you can. before if you took any hits before going through the fog wall, because you're going to need all the Estus you can possibly get in this fight. You can see I died many times trying this fight. It is a very difficult fight. So again, just get used to dodging that attack, get behind them, do as much damage as you can. If you can take one of them out quickly, you're in good shape. It's all about getting the first guy killed immediately, and then you're just going to have to use your double or your two-handed slam attacks. I don't usually go for the weaker attacks. I want to get the most damage out of this as I can. Always keep an eye on your health, and you'll need to kite these guys a lot because there's so many of them that come at once. Yeah, that damage. Just don't get too greedy. Make sure you keep your distance if you took a hit to heal, and try to get used to their timing. They'll use lightning attacks and this one attack where they just swoop in and just knock the shit out of you. And they cause a lot of damage on that attack. Be careful. As you can see, we got 3 to deal with right now, which is not fun. And they also breathe fire too. There's always at least 2 of them attacking with their halberds or whatever it is they're using there. So your guy's nearly dead, and once he's dead, it's all about you. They're all going to zero in on you, and this is where it gets very difficult. Your buffer is gone. You have no help anymore. It's just you and the gargoyles, and there's really not much to say except you're going to have to kite like hell. Kite like hell. And nearly died here. Actually, I don't have a 1 hit point. And just try to get damage when you can, because it's kind of like Ornstein and Smo times 3 actually. Wait for all of them to attack if you have to before going in for any kind of strike. Both of them just swung right there. Woo, man, that damage. We're so close to killing them too. Be careful of that fire attack. Again, kiting is your only way. Just waiting for an opportunity. It will be a small window, and you'll have to take advantage of it when you can. Always be ready to attack again. Once you get them down to 1 or 2, it's not as bad. You'll feel more comfortable, but it is a very difficult fight because of the odds are not in your favor, and they cause a buttload of damage, as you can see. I don't recommend doing that, what I just did. Now he's doing a lightning attack here, and it's kind of not that easy to get hit by, so I don't really worry about it too much. I just back up. Now here we're in great shape. We got 1 left, so we're in good shape here. It's all about getting as much damage as fast as possible. And we did it. We finally did it. We have the covetous gold serpent ring +2, which is the best item discovery ring. We combine that with the jester hat and the prisoner's tatters, and we are good to go. Thank God this boss is over. Now real quick, I'm going to show you some things that I did off video. So, I mentioned earlier about killing the rogue to get the armor set, and I did mention there was some other Indiana Jones armor sets we could use. Now here are the hats you'll need to have. The jester hat, the peasant hat is the other alternative Indiana Jones hat. It doesn't have the color, but it's not tilted, so it kind of looks better in a way. But I don't like that little wrapping he's got around his chin. I don't like that, but can't have everything. Now the desert sorcerer's top we're going to give to the pyromancer NPC that we saved, Rosalina. Here's the leather armor, of course. We got the armor there, and the rogue armor. This is the other one that looks okay. Now the prisoner tatters, I did farm for these in the gutter and got them. This is what you want to wear for item discovery, along with the jester hat and the gold serpent ring. Now we're going to go ahead and give our feminine outfit to Rosalina. Now I did also get the shadow gauntlets, and the sanctum shoulder gauntlets is what you want for poison. That's found in the sanctum walk bonfire, the first enemy you see. Just keep killing him over and over, and you can see I got another old whip. I used a backup save and got that, So I want to have all these extra whips, and I did clean out my inventory a little bit here. So this is what I want it looking like. We are in good shape here. Now, just for fun, we're going to play dress up with Rosalina, give her some appropriate feminine outfits here. The priestess skirt and the priestess top we did get as a random drop from the sorcerers in Earthen Peak. Now, she won't change into them right away. You'll have to reset the area. I did also increase my adaptability to 30 off video as well. This game does require a bit of farming if you want to get everything you want. And now she is more appropriately dressed. Nice little skirt there. Now, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. In the next episode, we're going to finish up the main boss souls by killing the Old Iron King. And then we will start preparing to go into Drain Lake Castle. See you guys in the next one.